Home to the Atlanta Falcons, Coca-Cola Museum, and the former largest aquarium in the world, which we didn't visit, sorry. Atlanta just might be one of the top places I think families should visit with kids. Here's a little bit about what we did on our trip with our 1.5-year-old. On our first day in Atlanta, we made it to an Atlanta Falcons football game. This did take the whole day since it was in the afternoon, and it may or may not be a hit with your kids depending on whether or not they like football. But games were really inexpensive when we visited, at around only $30 per person for adults. Depending on how good or bad the team is that year, you may be able to score a deal. Our son enjoyed the experience overall, but I do think the game was too long for him as a 1.5-year-old, so we spent a lot of time just walking around the stadium, which he still enjoyed. We also went to the Krog District, I think that's how you pronounce it, in the evening to walk around, and there were tons of shops, restaurants, and people walking about. I would recommend this area with kids if you want a walkable neighborhood or are looking for a place to eat. It's also near the Martin Luther King Jr. Historic Site. On day 2, we headed to downtown Atlanta, which is where a lot of the attractions in Atlanta are. We are at the College Football Hall of Fame, I think that's what it's called, and that is quite literally the reason we are in Atlanta, because Daniel wanted to come here. So I hope it is worth the hype. You might think, more football fade? Yes. We are a football family, but this is also a newer facility, and honestly, I felt like it was super interactive for everyone. It seemed like every area of the experience had things to make it fun for kids and people who don't really even care about football. It was surprisingly amusing as you pick a team at the beginning and then follow them throughout the entire experience. Even if you don't know a lot about the sport, I think you can find something here that's interesting. Yeah! We then went through Centennial Park to the Coca-Cola Museum. Coke was founded in Atlanta, so I think this is a must-see. But like the College Football Hall of Fame, it's also very interactive and fun for multiple ages. There is so much history and a lot to see and experience. You could easily spend a couple of hours here. We especially loved trying all the sodas and letting our son try his first Coca-Cola as well. Later on, we ate a late lunch at Gus's Chicken, which is the best fried chicken I've ever had in my life. 10 out of 10 recommend. On our last day in Atlanta, we went to the Atlanta Historical Center. I loved this place. It is so beautiful and of course full of history. I especially loved the historic houses on site that you can tour. You do have to watch your young kids closely inside so they don't break anything, but I think it was worth visiting. In addition, one of the houses is also where some of the Hunger Games Capitol scenes were filmed, and as a fan of the movies, I was very excited about that. There are also lots of outdoor areas for kids to run around, some even specifically made for children, so I felt like it was a good place for families in general. Before our last stop, we made a detour and walked around the Georgia Tech campus because football, of course. I wouldn't say this area is family friendly, so definitely skip it unless you're like my husband and want to see a new stadium. And finally, we were off to the city market. I don't know how to pronounce this, I'm sorry. The Ponce City Market, something like that. I read on so many blogs that we had to see this area. I thought it was cool, but it's really just a huge shopping and restaurant area with more specialty foods. There were also some neat paid attractions that we didn't try because we were on a tighter budget, but it's a great place for lunch or dinner since it has so many options. That was all we had time for during our 3-day trip to Atlanta. I know we missed some amazing sights, but we also saw some great places. Which one looked the most interesting to you? Let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see you next video.